All right, gonna do an oil change on the Nissan Xterra. I think it's a 2001. So I gotta take this cover off first if I want to access the oil filter. I haven't jacked it up yet, but I got the blocks in the back. So I'm gonna use a hydraulic jack 8-ton and a scissor jack just for stability. So I'm not lifting it solely from one side. And I'm not going to lift it all the way up, just enough to be able to work under there reasonably. But I'm going to make an attempt to firstly get this thing off, so I could see everything I'm going for before I jack it up. All right, got that little skid plate off of there pretty easily. But you'll notice how many holes are on there. And the person I bought it from, well, you could see, you know, the collection here. You know, it's a little sloppy, but I would say these are around 11 mil. But that's just funny. It's to be expected for things like that, especially with an older vehicle. All right. Look at the size of that filter. Makes me feel like a giant, man, looking at that little thing. And I've had like this oil leak and I haven't really been able to trace it. And I was hoping it's not coming from the crank, and I'm sure it isn't. I'm thinking it might just be that things need to be torqued down on the top part of the engine or something like that. But some of what you got to torque down is under the cam. I'm sorry, not the cam. It's under the intake manifold. So getting something in there to crank things down is not easy. But it's not too terribly bad. And there's the oil plug. Thinking maybe I won't need to jack this thing up after all. I just don't like the whole trying to squeeze around in there and stuff, and then dirt getting all over in your eyes and everything. So let's go ahead and just drain it now. I'll open the top of the engine so you can see what I'm talking about. The intake manifold being over some of the bolts on the valve cover. All right. I was wondering where that oil filter went off to. I went and had it dumped. And I was thinking, man, it's taking him forever. Well, it was lodged right in front, right in here under there, man. I was like, where did that oil filter go, man, as I was bringing it into him? I guess now we know. That's from the other vehicle. All right. I always do use one of these pans right here because there will always be residual no matter what. And depending, like with this, I think we're going to be okay with just this, but like with my 4x, I do a little bit more because that thing is just, I mean, it's got decades of grunge under there. So, and then I have a little squeegee, a mini squeegee. So then I take it in, and I always provide extra stuff and gloves for the guys as well in case they don't have any, because they're trying to dress somewhat nicely for the customers, you know. And this is a messy job, so I make sure they have this bucket here. And if I can, I bag that. I just lost it. Didn't know where it was. And I give them the squeegee, and I give them some rubber gloves in case they ran out or something. I just think if you want them to continue to do that for free for you, you should probably make a few extra efforts and not be an entitled little punk. All right, so let's get it under there and get this going. All right, there it is draining. Slider this way. There we go. I'm gonna go pop the top thingy there, and then we have, what is this, a 14 mil? Yeah, 14 mil. Okay, so where does it say 14? It says 14 right there. Okay. right, there's the oil cap taken off. And you can see what I'm talking about with the intake manifold and the valve covers. So you have one, you can basically get to everything, and the other one is under the valve cover. Let's see. So that means if you want to tighten anything down, snug it down to Torque's specs post. I mean, it looked to me like the valve cover gaskets were replaced at least once from when I got this. So if it needs to be snugged down, I haven't been able to get in there, and they're not bolts. They're I don't know if you could see that. Let's come over here. If you can see that those are like a type of Phillips, which is just bizarre. Presumably, and it's only a guess, is that they don't want you torquing on those too much. Looks like the gasket, you see, I bought this used, of course, and looks like the gasket right there on the intake manifold has been replaced. It's a nice little ride. So let's get to that oil filter, pull that off after we put that plug back on. Let me see. I think I might have some just like cheap oil laying around just to push some sludge out if there's any in there. I'm not sure if there is. Meaning to pour it down into there to kind of just gut out a little bit of the residues at the bottom of the oil pan. But what I might end up doing with this at some point is dropping the oil pan and just cleaning it out and pulling. There should be a magnet in there. Pull the magnet, clean up the magnet. If not replace it, I don't know if that would be necessary, but clean it up before putting it back in there. Something I'm absolutely going to have to do with the 4x. It's pretty amazing what that thing has been through and still running. It's kind of mind-boggling, really. All right, so we're going to get to that oil filter. Okay, that took a little bit. So I actually think the position of this thing's pretty good. That tight, what is that? It's like a retention thing right there next to it. This right here. That makes it a close deal. It was on there for a while and pretty snug, so getting my hands in there to turn it myself is really tough. So I jacked it up so I could get in there to do it, and still I wasn't able to get my hand in there right. So I had to take my tool here, and I had to secure this and just bend it and bend it and bend it. And then I found that because it had to close so tightly over that little itty bitty thing, I mean, it's like an elf's freaking filter, man. That the lock here on it ended up getting in the way, and it was stopping it from snugging without slipping off the thing. So I had to get in there and just bend it in a bunch of places, and it slipped past pretty nice. But the thing is, the length of the handle, don't know if you could tell, there's not a lot of space right there. So you only got like little increments once you get it into position, you know, to be able to do that. But all right, otherwise it's all right. I like the way it drains too. That's like the angle it's at and everything. And there's not too much stuff in the way. You know, just gotta wipe this bar down. This what do you call it? It's not a sway bar. I'm trying to remember what it is. It's like a torsion bar. Thinking I might have to replace them bushings. Looks pretty simple though. Yeah, it actually does look pretty simple. Should probably do that. Got a few things I want to do on this. Haven't really done anything on it since I got it. All right, filter's basically primed. Okay, give it a little wipe. Just around the edge, trying not to touch that post there. Let's just go ahead and put that like that. Hey, come on, you can do it. There it is, I think. Yep. One hand stand. Okay. There we go. I think it's a good hand tighten right there. Let's move that out of the way. And I want to see where the oil's coming from. So it's not the crank. I think it is what I've been suspecting all this time. But man, I do not want to have to pull that. I don't want to have to pull the dang valve or intake manifold just to tighten those darn things, dude. Okay. There we go. I think that'll do that. All right. I just want to make sure we got any spillage in the village. It's going to be abated. There we go. And look how cool that is, the way it just magically does that. Okay. Getting sloppy in my old age. It's a good thing I put that down there. Right on. Using the O'Reilly's Syntec. Glip, 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 glip. Okay. Now my least favorite part, cleaning up. Aren't there elves that are supposed to do that for you or something like that? All right, that's it. So if any of you do have any suggestions on how to check the torque on these bolts holding down the valve cover under the intake without taking the intake off, it would be greatly appreciated. All right, I think that's pretty good. I need to get a new, was that the positive? Yeah, I think that's the positive right there. Got a new one of these because the person I bought this from, or maybe the previous person, this right here is actually a lead cap because the diameter is smaller on this. And so this is a copper doohickey that doesn't clamp down enough. So I have these little vice grips holding it for now. And I've just been busy doing other things. I haven't been able to get to that. So my main vehicle is the work vehicle, the 4x. But, all right. So before we clean up, let's fire this thing up. Anything to put off cleaning up? Oh, I got to put the cover of that thing back on, don't I? Okay, that's not a big deal. Let's fire it up real quick. All right, that sounds really smooth. Yeah, it was starting to act a little funny as we were getting towards the oil change period. I've had it for about a year, a little over a year now, and I hardly drive it, so it hadn't even reached its oil change time per mileage. But just sitting around, you know, oil was getting a little bit funky. All right, so I'm going to put that cover back on, and I think we're good to go. Dog's going to be happy that I'm done with this. We got to go take her for a walk now. All right. Thanks for watching the oil change. Later.